What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here with more Madden 18 news. Now, as many of you know, EA Play and E3 is going on this weekend. We're getting more and more news every day. Rex Dixon's been letting out a bunch of tweets. I actually just watched one of his interviews he did over on Problem Rights channel, so if you guys want to check that out, had a lot of good information there that I'm going to share with you guys here. Just some more gameplay fixes, some more things we can expect, a little bit more in depth about the competitive modes and the sim modes and things like that. So just with any more details that come out, I want to bring them to you guys and share them with you guys because this is all important information to get us hyped for the new Madden 18 that's going to be coming out on August 25th. Now, I did make a video about some of the gameplay fixes that I already knew about, and I went in depth about the game modes, but we're just getting a little bit more information, so I want to just bring that to you now. So going back on the game modes, just to briefly recap, basically sim mode is, you know, the game how it is now. You're going to have the overthrows, you're going to have drop picks, you're going to have, you know, it's going to be more sim, just like in real life. Competitive mode, however, is going to be pretty much like I alluded to in the other video. You're not going to have as many fumbles, you're not going to have as many overthrows, you're not going to have as many drop passes and drop picks. But like I said, in order for them to do this right, it has to be ratings based, because you can't just be out there with a bad player and getting the same results as a good player. And Rex confirmed this in the interview with Problem. He said there is going to be a ratings threshold. So for example, if we're talking about a defensive back, he's saying that, you know, you can't make it to where every time an interception hits any defensive back square in the hands that it's 100% an interception. There has to be a ratings threshold because the game is completely based on ratings. Without ratings, you know, Madden isn't Madden. So he said, for example, like right now for defensive backs, if their catch rating, and he said this could get tweaked, it's not definite yet, but right now the way it's set is if a defensive back has 70 catch or higher and an interception hits him square in the hands, if you throw a bad pass and it hits, you know, a guy like Richard Sherman square in his hands, Richard Sherman's a guy that typically has in like the 80s as far as catching goes because he's one of the better, you know, hands cornerbacks out there. If it hits him straight in the hands, it's 100% a pick every time, no questions asked. Now, if your catch rating for a cornerback, a lot of cornerbacks have, you know, 50s catch ratings or 60s catch ratings, so they're not wide receivers. If an interception hits guys like that square in the hands, they're going to drop it sometimes because their rating's low. But if you have those elite cornerbacks, especially in Ultimate Team, that you pay a lot of coin for, and they have high catch ratings, if it hits them square in the hands, it's going to be an interception 100% of the time, which is key. It is something that we've been needing, and this is a competitive mode thing, not necessarily sim mode. And he said same thing on offense for wide receivers. Like if a wide receiver has 90 or better catch and he's wide open, he's never going to drop the ball. Now, if you throw it in tight coverage and he gets hit after he catches the ball, that's a different story. But one of the big issues was wide open wide receivers dropping balls, like guys like Antonio Brown or Julio Jones just dropping wide open catches sometimes. And he said, you know, this year, if your guy has a 90-plus catch threshold, he's not dropping a wide open pass. It's going to be a catch 100% of the time. And he said the same thing goes for overthrows with quarterbacks. There's going to be a threshold for, you know, deep pass accuracy, let's say. So he said, I mean, it all, when it comes to overthrows, you know, you're going to have your feet set. You're going to have to not be pressured. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, let's say you're using Aaron Rodgers, you know, he's going to have one of the best deep throw accuracies in the game. So let's say you step up into the pocket, you set your feet, you're not being hurried, so that means you don't have like a defender right in your face pressuring you to get rid of the ball quickly. If you do all of these things and you have the time and you set your feet, you deliver the pass, you're never going to overthrow the ball because he's going to have that ratings, he's going to meet that threshold to where if you do everything right, you're not going to overthrow the ball. So this is huge. Huge for online head-to-head play, because Rex said in his interview, he said, you know, the last few years there hasn't been as much of a skill gap in Madden. He said they're finally realizing that having a skill gap is important because that is what drives audiences to watch the game. People want to watch, especially now that Madden is an esport and every year it's growing, the competitive scene is getting bigger and bigger. He said it's crucial to have a skill gap because people want to watch the best players. People don't want to watch competitive games where, you know, just anybody that's the least bit knowledgeable about the game can get up there and compete because, you know, there's tons of dropped interceptions, and there's a ton of overthrows, and there's a ton of little fluky things that allows to keep, a lesser skilled opponent in the game. He said, it's important to create that skill gap. We still have the sim mode for the sim players that, they can, the lesser skilled players or the guys that like to play in franchise mode, that they can have that authentic NFL experience. But when you switch over to the competitive side, the better players should win. It should be the best of the best, and that gap has to get wider because it's something they failed to do the last few years. So that's something I'm excited about as a competitive player, something I'm, really happy to hear, and I think it's good because you can serve both audiences. Now, one thing that people might not like, because he did confirm this, he said draft champion, salary cap ranked, MUT head-to-head, these are going to be on default competitive mode. So there's a lot of people that play MUT that are not competitive players. They're sim style players, so they are probably not going to like that. Now, I don't know if there's going to be an option when you play MUT head-to-head, for example, just, the regular head-to-head MUT that doesn't technically count for anything, that, no tournaments are ran on. I don't know if there's going to be an option to play that in sim-style mode, so where, you can say, I want to play in sim mode, and then it'll match you up with another player that wants to play in sim mode. That they didn't say, so I'm not sure. But I know for sure, like, draft champions and salary cap ranked, those are the modes that the tournaments are on, so those are going to 100% be on competitive mode. So some people might not like that, but that just is what it is. He said franchise mode right now is going to default on sim mode. Now in franchise mode, I believe, since that's like an offline mode, you should be able to switch that between whatever you want. But he said that's going to default on sim mode. And he said regular team head-to-head, he said they're not sure yet. He said right now it's sim mode. He said but they're not sure if they're going to switch that to competitive mode as well. But like I said, for regular head-to-head and regular MUT head-to-head, that may be something that you can switch back and forth between. It might default on competitive mode, but you may have the option to play it in sim mode, but we'll have to wait to see on that. So that was some other really good information. As far as some gameplay improvements, I did make a video on that, but we have some more that were revealed. Probably the biggest one is the hit stick is back. And now the hit stick never went away, but the true hit stick is back. And he said that tapping the X button to hit stick is gone out of the game, which I think I started to use the X button as the hit stick too because it was just so much easier. Why not? But I'm glad it was removed from the game because it was just way too easy. Anybody under the sun can just tap the X button and you can lay out a big hit. You can force fumbles. Anybody could do it. Hit sticking is another one of those things. You need a skill gap. You should have to time your big hits. If you mistime a big hit, you're going to whiff. And that's how it should be. So he said the X button is gone. It's completely back to being just the hit stick now. And he said timing is crucial. You have to, as the user, you have to line it up. You have to square yourself up with the offensive player if you want to hit, land that big hit. And he said there's a big room for error this year. So if you don't time it perfectly, you're going to whiff on defense. So it is back to how it was in the old days. It's a risk versus reward thing. You can go for that big hit, and he said if you time that big hit and you have a big hitter, you're going to force a fumble a lot of times. He said, but if you mistime it, you're going to whiff, and that can cause, the offense to go all the way for a touchdown because you missed with your users. So that's bringing, like I said, the skill gap back. And he also said it's going back to the old school, like 2005 hit stick where you can hit stick up or down. So if you hit stick up, you're going to be, going for the big hit at the shoulders, or you can flick the joystick down to do like a cut hit where you're hitting them in the legs, which is going to be crucial for, say, like the big trucking backs. The big trucking backs like a Derrick Henry, or think of like the legend Ricky Williams, guys like that are hard to tackle up top. You have that option to hit stick low to take out their legs. That's how you typically take down the bigger backs because you can't take them down up top usually because they're too strong. So that's another great addition that they finally brought back that's been out of the game for so many years now. So having the time the hit stick is huge. He said that was the main thing with fumbles is you have to find kind of a balance because you can't just say, well, a guy that has 95 carry is just never going to fumble the ball, because when you have Ultimate Team, you literally have defensive players who have a big hitter trait. They might have 95 hit power and they have the big hitter trait, and when you have these traits together, he said that, and you landed the hit stick, all those big hitting traits would completely cancel out the carry rating. So if you had the big guy that had the big hitter trait and you landed a hit stick, you were going to force a fumble the majority of the time because it cancels out the carry rating. That's why he said, so in order to make fumbles matter and make it, more of a skill thing rather than just tapping a button. He had to bring back the old hit stick and make it a timing thing. So if you mistime the hit stick, you miss completely. Whereas if you do time it correctly, which the elite players will be able to do, then you more so have kind of earned that fumble because you had to do it yourself. So that's another big gameplay thing. They brought back defensive assignments, which means you can set your secondary to play aggressive or play balanced or play conservative. You can also match up your best cornerbacks on the best wide receivers. That'll be a setting now. So, your number 1 rated cornerback will always line up with the number 1 wide receiver, number 2 cornerback on the number 2 wide receiver, and so on. So that's a huge addition. It's been needing to be back in the game for so long now. Took them long enough to put it back, but it's better late than never. So that's another great thing. I think that's about it for most of the new things that I haven't covered yet. Just a little bit more information I wanted to bring to you guys. Of course, as more information comes out, I will make more videos and we'll be right back at it. But those are some important things that I felt like I needed to make a video on because these are huge. This is huge news. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, you can go over to Problem Rights channel and definitely check out the interview. I covered most of the points that he had in the interview, but still a good video. You go over there and show support to a fellow Madden guy, the greatest of all time. So go over there and watch that video if you want to. It's a pretty good video. And if you enjoyed this video, just as always, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.